The Apple Watch is so much more useful than just telling the time, buzzing your wrist when you get a notification, or controlling your music. And yet, so many people just wear an Apple Watch and that's all they use it for. So in this video, I'm going to share 22 Apple Watch tips and tricks that will help you get the most out of your watch. I'm going to be using the Apple Watch Ultra 2, but most of these tips will apply to all Apple Watches that can run watchOS 10. Okay, so let's start with timers, because this is something I use on a daily basis, especially in the kitchen. I don't use oven timers anymore, or I don't use my iPhone. I use my Apple Watch for every single timer. And the reason for that is because it's so simple and so quick to set. All you need to do is press on the digital crown, and then you will say how long you want to set the timer for, but you don't need to say anything aside from the amount of time. That's the little trick here. You don't need to say set timer for X amount of time. You don't need to do any of that. Just say the time like this, 5 minutes, and your watch is going to know, and it's going to set that timer for 5 minutes. And if you use timers on a daily basis like I do, you might want to add a complication to your watch face to show the time remaining in that timer. As you can see down there in the bottom right hand corner, I have that set. So if you tap and hold on your watch face, you can go to edit, and you can edit these complications, and you could set that to timers. Now, if your hands are full, maybe you have groceries in your hand, maybe your hands have oven mitts on them, whatever the case may be, if you want to set a timer without touching the digital crown, you can do that very easily as well via raise to speak. So all you have to do is bring the watch up to your face, raise it up to your face, and then speak into it what you want to do. And this is not just for timers. You can do this for pretty much anything you can do through Siri. So watch this. Set timer for 5 minutes. There you go. And you can see I set the timer for 5 minutes without pressing anything. And like I mentioned, for that to work, you do need to have raise to speak enabled. So go into your settings and then go down to Siri, and then under Siri, make sure that raise to speak right there is turned on. Also, a quick little tip here is that you might want to turn off the listen for Siri or Hey S, because you're probably going to use either raise to speak or pressing on the digital crown. You're almost never going to ask Siri for something, and try to trigger it on your watch. So I would recommend just turning that off. Okay, so let's take that hands-free experience a step further with double tap. Now, this is exclusive to the Apple Watch Ultra 2 and the Apple Watch Series 9 and newer. But this feature is heavily slept on. It's very underrated because everybody knows you can double tap. So you do the index finger to thumb twice rapidly, and that will invoke the gesture, and that will go through the widgets right here, which I've honestly never used that. That's like the main, selling point they give with it, but I've never used that. So let's talk about something where that's actually useful. So let's do the timer example again. So when this timer goes off, all I need to do is invoke that double tap gesture, and it's going to X out of that timer. So it's vibrating on my wrist right now, but if my hands are full, I can go ahead and double tap with that gesture, and it's going to cancel out of that timer. Or if I get a text message, I can double tap right there, and it will allow me to respond to that text message, and it's going to use dictation right away. And I can go ahead and double tap again when I'm done, and it will send that. So I'm able to read, reply, and send to a text message or an iMessage without ever touching my Apple Watch. That is awesome, and that is why double tap is great. Now, I just gave a hint of this a minute ago, but I want to talk about voice dictation again, because voice dictation is so accurate on the Apple Watch that is my main way of replying to messages, specifically when I'm driving. So I don't like to look at my phone at all, really, when I'm driving. Even though I drive a Tesla, I still don't like looking at my phone all the time. So I love to reply to text messages through dictation on my Apple Watch. So if you're going to do this, you could tap in the little bubble right here. And of course, you could tap on the little microphone down there to invoke dictation, or you can do what I just showed a minute ago using the double tap gesture. But you want to also make sure that auto punctuation is turned on. So if you go into your settings here, we're going to go into general, and then let's go down to dictation right here, and you want to make sure that dictation and especially auto punctuation are enabled. Make sure those are turned on. Just a quick reminder, be sure to download the written PDF companion guide that complements this video. It includes everything I'm covering here, along with screenshots and written instructions. That way you never forget anything from this video or future videos. It's included as one of the many perks in my monthly membership, which you can join by clicking the link in the description below. Okay, so now let's talk about workouts. So when you you start a workout, how it has that 3, 2, 1 countdown? Did you know you can skip that? So we're going to start this, and right away we're going to just double tap right there inside of ready, and it skips that countdown. Now also, when you end a workout, you will know that you always have this confirmation screen here that says end workout, and you almost never accidentally press that. So this can be very annoying, but you can turn that off. And to do that, we're going to go into our settings, go all the way down to workout, and then scroll down until you see end workout confirmation. Disable that, and now you will not have to confirm when you want to end a workout. I'd also highly recommend having view metrics on iPhone turned on. That way it shows, how long you've been cycling for and your statistics on the iPhone's lock screen. Now, something else you definitely want to enable on your Apple Watch is to have matching focus modes with your iPhone. So if you go into your settings and go to focus, make sure you scroll down to the bottom and enable mirror my iPhone. That way, anytime you go into a focus mode on your iPhone, it's going to go into that same focus mode on your Apple Watch. And if you go onto your iPhone and go to focus and then go into one of your focus modes, go under customize screens, and you can set a custom watch face for your Apple Watch when you enter into that focus mode. So this focus mode is for, when I'm recording a video. So I want it to be a very simple, no distractions watch face, and that's why that is the one that's selected. So now if I enter into this focus mode, so we're going to go into focus and we're going to enter that focus mode, you can see that my watch face will change with it. Now here's something that every single Apple Watch user should be using, but a lot of you probably are not, and that is to use your Apple Watch for Apple Pay, especially when paying at, a gas pump, if you're paying at the grocery store, whatever the case may be. It's going to be a lot more convenient and a lot quicker to pay with your Apple Watch as opposed to taking out your iPhone, putting it back in your pocket, all of that. This is already on your wrist. Just double click right here to pay, and it will scan, and it's just going to be just like your iPhone, but it's quicker. Now you could also use that for your boarding pass. So every time I fly and I have my boarding pass, I use my Apple Watch to scan that little code there, for my boarding pass instead of it being on my iPhone. It's just so much more convenient and a lot less to have to worry about. So definitely have that set up. If you don't have it set up, you can go into the Watch application on your iPhone and then go down to the Wallet and Apple Pay section. And then right here under payment cards on your watch, if you don't already have it set up right there, you can add card, and you could add your card right there. And then if you're really into HomeKit, you might have a home key lock on your house like I do, and you could also use your Apple Watch to unlock your front door. So I use my Apple Watch instead of my iPhone to unlock my front door anytime I want to get into the house, and that is awesome. Now here's a tip that pretty much every Apple Watch user knows, but for those of you who don't, did you know that you can find your iPhone from your Apple Watch in the control center? So if you go into the control center, this little icon right there with the phone with a little sound coming out of it is going to allow you to find your iPhone with a sound. So when I tap on that, you can also tap and hold to trigger the flashlight. So watch this. And if you have an iPhone 15 and also an Apple Watch Series 9 or Ultra 2, you can track your iPhone with proximity. So if you go into that same section right there, you can see that it gives you proximity. It shows how many feet away the iPhone is, and it's vibrating. When I get closer, you can see it's getting closer. It shows 2 feet, and it will take me right to it as if it were an AirTag. So that is really awesome, but again, that does require the latest iPhone and the latest Apple Watch. But one application that's available on all Apple Watches is this little blue icon with the little play button inside, and that is the Apple TV remote. So if you have an Apple TV, using your Apple Watch as a remote is even more convenient than using your iPhone as a remote. So I use this all the time. Just know it's there, and then you can control your TV with your watch. Now, I mentioned in the intro how a lot of people buy an Apple Watch just to get notifications on their wrist, but to me personally, what's the point of getting double notifications? What's the point of getting a notification on your phone and also on your watch at the same time? It doesn't really make sense. So I think you need to be strategic with which notifications you allow on your Apple Watch, and I think they should be different from the notifications you get on your phone. Not all, but some of them. Now for me personally, I use focus modes for most of the day, so I don't really ever have to worry about notifications on my watch or my iPhone. But if you're not like me and you don't use focus modes like all the time and you really suppress all your notifications, you need to go into your Apple Watch application on your iPhone and go to notifications, and you need to make sure that you disable notifications for everything on here that you do not absolutely need notifications for. Like, I think your watch should be specific to important notifications, like maybe text messages, maybe like health related things, like maybe, I don't know, cycle tracking, maybe the mindfulness application, maybe reminders, just important things like that. You don't need notifications for Twitter. You don't need notifications for Instagram. You don't need notifications for mail on your Apple Watch, especially if you're already getting those on your iPhone. And that's why I would also go down to this section where you see mirror iPhone alerts from and disable almost all of these. So there we go. I've unchecked all the ones that are not important to me, and I would recommend you go ahead and do the same. That way you're not getting double alerts for things that aren't even important in the first place. Now, still to this day, one of the best party tricks of the Apple Watch is being able to use it as a camera remote for your iPhone, being able to control when your iPhone takes a picture. So to do this, just go to your home screen right here and look for the camera icon. It looks very similar to the one that you see on your iPhone, and tap on that and it will auto launch the camera on your iPhone if it's not already opened. And from here, you get a 3-second countdown. Now you could also tap on the 3 dots and you can change the camera to the front-facing camera, and you can see it automatically changes it on the iPhone as well. And you could also turn flash on or off. You even have the ability to turn live photo on or off. And if you don't want the timer, you can turn that off up top here as well. So we'll change this to the front-facing camera, and we're going to tap to do the countdown, and you can see it will take the picture just like so, and you do get haptic feedback on your watch as well. And you can even preview the photo on your Apple Watch, which is awesome. Oh, and one other little trick in here is that you can also tap to focus. So if you want to tap to focus on a certain spot, you can see on the viewfinder on the iPhone now, it is picking up the little focus tracking spots that I'm pressing. So easily one of the best features of the Apple Watch is sleep tracking. And I know I used to be one of those people who felt like I couldn't go to sleep with something on me. I felt like it was like, strangling my wrist. I had, bad thoughts about it, but I got used to it. And now I cannot sleep a single night without my Apple Watch on my wrist. And the reason for that is because my alarm every morning is my Apple Watch vibrating on my wrist. Not only does it not wake up anybody around me because there's no audible sound, but it's so much more effective at waking me up than a sound. Now that's not the trick. Everybody knows that you can sleep track with your Apple Watch, but the little trick I want to share here, the little tip I want to share is if you go into your settings and then go into sleep, you want to definitely make sure that sleep tracking is turned on. I believe that's turned on by default, but charging reminders might not be turned on by default. And I would highly recommend having that on. That way you get a notification every time before you go to bed, before your wind down time, telling you that you might want to charge your watch because it might not be able to make it through the night with its current state of charge. Now, one of the most life-saving features of the Apple Watch is fall detection, but it might not be working like you think it's working. So let's go into our settings and we're going to go to SOS right here. And you can see that the second option is fall detection, but it's only enabled during workouts. So if you go to fall detection, you might want to turn this always on. That way you're always being checked for fall detection. Like if you fall just randomly and you're not working out, fall detection is not going to trigger unless you turn this on. So we're going to confirm that, and we're going to have fall detection turned on always, not just during workouts. And I would also highly recommend that you have call after severe crash turned on as well. That way you do send, messages to your emergency contacts and also to emergency services when you do get involved in a severe crash. Hopefully you never have that, but you want to have that enabled just in case. And then one of the most time-saving features of the Apple Watch is the ability to unlock your Mac with your Apple Watch. So this is going to be a setting on your Mac, and you can see right here, unlock Mac with Apple Watch. I would highly recommend turning that on. That way you don't have to type in your passcode or put in, Touch ID every time you log on to your Mac. One of the top complaints that Apple Watch users have is that the display doesn't stay active for long enough. It goes to sleep too quickly, just like that, and it goes back to the watch face here and you can't see what you were trying to see after only like 15-20 seconds. Well, you can change that. So we're going to go into our settings and then to display and brightness, and then scroll down to the bottom and you'll see we have wake duration. Go into wake duration and choose wake for 70 seconds. So it's by default at 15 seconds. So you can set this to 70 seconds. That way, every time you tap to wake up your screen, it stays awake for 70 seconds and not just 15. Now, something else you probably want to have enabled is screenshots on the Apple Watch. So if I were to press on the digital crown and the side button at the same time, you can see it's going to take a screenshot and it instantly sends it to my iPhone. So to enable that, just go into your settings, go to general, and then to screenshots, and make sure that enable screenshots is turned on. And if you want to take that a step further, you can go into your iPhone settings and go to accessibility and then to Apple Watch mirroring and turn that on. And this will allow you to mirror your Apple Watch's display to your iPhone. Now, this next tip is more privacy focused and it's only for always on Apple Watches. So if your Apple Watch has an always on display, pay attention to this. So if you go into your settings and then go to display and brightness and then scroll down until you get to always on, go into always on, and then right here under wrist down, we have different sections of settings. So show complication data, you can turn that off. So now if I turn that off and I go back to my watch face, you can see that when I'm out of always on display, you can see there, it hides that information. So all my complications there are hidden aside from my battery percentage. When I lift my wrist up, you can see that all that data is showing now. But if I were to go out of the always on display, it hides that information. And then the final tip I want to share is a quick and easy one, and that is the ability to swipe to change watch faces. So that's back with watchOS 10. You don't have to tap and hold and then go over to change the watch face anymore. You can do so just by swiping from the edge of the screen as long as you have the setting enabled. So that setting is inside of settings, and then go to clock, and then it's right up here up top, swipe to switch watch face. So there you have it. Those are 22 tips and tricks that you need to know on your Apple Watch in 2024. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I would appreciate if you gave it a thumbs up. Also, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on future Apple Watch videos. And if you want to get access to the written PDF guide that goes along with this video, along with other perks, consider joining the membership by clicking that link down in the description below or clicking the join button on YouTube. But anyways, guys, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you soon.